Hello, UX Strat team. My name is Sarah Pagliaccio. I run a user experience consulting group based in Boston. I teach the UX process and interaction design at Brandeis and Lesley universities. I write book reviews for UXPA magazine, and I write feature articles for UX Matters, including a 4-part series on gender and racial bias in AI and UX. Part 4 is scheduled for publication on February 8th. This presentation is the result of 20 years of professional UX work, recent research and writing, and teaching. Here's what I've learned. Gender and racial biases are pervasive in AI tools and the big data that drives them. The algorithms that power these apps are built on historic data that are inherently racist and sexist. And as a result, these biases are ingrained in the tools we're designing for, and sometimes the tools we're designing with. For the purposes of today's presentation to you, I'm just going to talk through one example from the automotive industry. Back in 2011, the big car guys acknowledged that women were having a tougher time using speech recognition technology in their cars than men were. The car's voice recognition software couldn't understand the women driving them. The car guys suggested solving this by, quote, fixing the way women speak. One VP of voice technology suggested that many issues with women's voices could be fixed if female drivers were willing to sit through lengthy training. Women could be taught to speak louder and direct their voices towards the microphones. Basically, he said that's a training issue. How many times have we heard that one, right? As UX strategists and designers, we know this is not a training issue, it's a design issue. So 10 years is a lot in internet time, right? So let's look at the data from 2020. These data say that voice recognition software still hears men better than it hears women. The algorithms are about 13% more accurate for men than they are for women, but only if you're a white woman or a native English speaker from California. If you're not a white woman or a white man speaking with a Silicon Valley accent, you can have as bad as a 50-50 chance of being understood by your voice-activated apps. That's no better than flipping a coin. So who really cares, right? Well, anyone using voice apps should care. Anyone designing for voice apps should care. And anyone working in the automotive industry should really care, because it turns out that women make 65 to 70% of new car purchasing decisions and spend over $200 billion on new cars and mechanical services. That's every year. That's a really big number, right? So this is a big market that they should be paying attention to. It also turns out that by 2028, 90% of new vehicles sold globally will include built-in voice assistants. That gives us about 7 years to solve this particular problem, right? And the solution clearly isn't to expect everyone who is not a white man to sit through lengthy training so the machines can understand us. The real problem is the underlying data. And this is a solvable problem. If we as UX designers and strategists step in as the voice of the user, if we're devoted to strategy of inclusiveness, we can find diverse research participants to lend their voices to these data sets and retrain these algorithms, right? Because if a voice-activated car only understands some of its drivers some of the time, that's not an individual person's problem. That's a public safety issue. And it's an issue that we can address. Also, then maybe we can help out the 74% of women who feel misunderstood by automotive marketers, or the 77% of women who still take a man to the car dealership to avoid being suckered, right? So that's 3/4 of consumers in a $200 billion market reporting bad user experience, both pre and post purchase. It's a really terrible problem. It's also a great opportunity for better UX strategy. These are problems that we can solve. In my full presentation, we'll review other examples of AI-driven racism and sexism. We'll discuss where these biases come from, explore how these biases have seeped into our design tools, and finally, we'll review options for combating these biases so they don't become ingrained in our design solutions. I look forward to hearing from you.